Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show, and I am so delighted to have you all here today with me, and I want to welcome Amnon. Hello.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Oh, yes. How are you doing?
I'm just fine. How are you?
I'm good. Good week?
Oh, yeah, great week.
Good. Anything exciting you want to share?
Yeah, just fighting with Time Warner over billing.
Well, other people are fighting with Time Warner over just even watching TV.
It's great. They're crazy.
Well, they're sticking to their guns.
I'm going to have a full report for future shows.
Oh, yeah. Well, Amnon does a show on Sunday mornings about computers, technology, all kinds of stuff like that. So watch his show because you never know what he's going to say about Time Warner. And I'm sure some of you in New York might have a thing or two to say because you can't get some of your shows. And that ain't good. Anyway, we have a really a show today that I'm really passionate about. And I don't want to waste any time because it's about fear. So I love bringing on fear. I don't want to waste any time talking about anything else other than fear. And I've been talking about today like we're going to have a party. And we're going to celebrate fear and being fearless as opposed to holding it in the closet and protecting it, because that doesn't do anybody any good. And our guest today is Ishita Gupta. And I hope I pronounced that correctly. And she is a writer, publisher, speaker. She's the founder of a magazine called Fear Less. And it's a digital magazine. She interviews entrepreneurs, authors, writers, all kinds of people about how they live and they handle their fear. And I would say, besides me, she is an expert in talking about fear. And we found this really cool page that where Ishita wrote about her beliefs. And she's just fantastic and she's beautiful. And these words are my words. They're her words, but I could use them. And I hope you all can too. So this is what she believes, that you can have everything that you want, that you control your life, that letting it happen is not an option, that real confidence is not a mystery and is available to you right now, that you can build your best life plus dream business so that it works for you, that your best life imaginable is waiting for you to claim it. And I believe the same thing, and I believe that sometimes we have allowed our fear, many times, to get in the way. But when we become fearless, doesn't mean without fear. In some cases it does. But in a lot of cases it means just being fearless. Less fear. We can accomplish our goals. So with that, from New York, I want to introduce my guest. Ishita, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Marilyn. Hi there.
Hey there. How are you doing?
I'm so well. Thank you guys for having me on. I've been looking forward to having this chat with you all about fear and overcoming it.
Great. Me too. So tell me, what is your philosophy?
What is my philosophy?
Yes.
Well, you just read part of it, but generally my philosophy is that we have to push against the things in our lives that bring up feelings of fear, that keep us small, that don't allow us to fulfill our real potential. And so largely that's what I write about. I talk about it. I talk about overcoming fear. I talk about building confidence. We are here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. Every single one of us, every single one of your listeners, has something within them that they are here to manifest. And the thing that stops us from that is fear. And so that is my philosophy, is that fear is always going to be something that's present, and we need to learn how to navigate it and how to work with it.
So when you say push up against it, what do you mean by that?
I mean, a lot of times we don't push up against it. We run away from it. So things in our lives that bring up fear, that bring up neuroses, that make us go into our default habit patterns, we just run instead of really facing things. And I think we need to begin to push up against things, begin to get comfortable, like with the feeling of, it's kind of like sandpaper. It's obviously not a very comfortable sensation, but you have to get comfortable pushing up against things that make you uncomfortable. So what I mean by that is leaning into things. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, if something makes you feel fear, instead of using your default habit patterns and reactions, you actually go the opposite route, which is pretty counterintuitive. You go more into it and kind of become friends with it. That's a very Buddhist thing. And maybe you can't become friends with it right away, but what you do is you start to pause and you start to stop going into your reaction patterns. Because if you keep reacting and you keep behaving the way that you always have been with anything in your life that causes resistance or makes you feel bad or sad or uncomfortable, nothing will ever change for you.
Exactly. I love the way you said that. And so when you pause, you can replace the next action with a different action. So let's say, for instance, you're doing something that's causing you this discomfort. I mean, I often say, we've given fear, or we give words meaning. So if we replace the word fear with something else, or we just say, just to be cautious. I mean, you're not going to cross a busy street without looking left to right. You're going to look, you're going to be cautious, and then you're going to go. So even just replacing it with caution doesn't mean stopping.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the beautiful thing here is that fear is a signal. You should, if there's a snake in front of you, you don't have to touch it and then get bitten. You should cross the street, checking both ways. You have to be cautious, but sometimes our caution turns into, it spirals into like this wild insecurity or fear, or we just stop doing the things that even make us take any bit of risk because we're so cautious. I think you have to have a healthy, cautionary sort of survival instinct for sure. But then more than that, I think it's kind of 70-30. 30% is cautious, and 70% is totally against the grain, trying to lean into the stuff that's uncomfortable, because 99% of the world isn't doing that. 99% of the world is actually running away from the stuff that scares them, not taking risks, not doing things that make them feel uncomfortable, personally, professionally. And the beautiful thing is, if you're the one person who's doing that, you're already ahead of the game. You're already one step ahead. So when I talk to people, my clients or my readers, when I'm speaking, it's a matter of really understanding that it's very counterintuitive, but the way of life should actually be, how quickly can I be uncomfortable and how long can I sustain that? And then it becomes a pattern. You get used to taking risks, to doing things outside of your comfort zone. And then what happens is you expand your zone of sensation and discomfort. And you become this person that can do X, Y, Z, whereas before you were just very cautious.
So what are we? So what are we?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. So what are we scared about? I mean, in being uncomfortable or the fear itself, what are we so scared about?
We're scared of a lot. We're scared of failure.
Mm-hmm.
We're scared of.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit. So I heard
that
you.
We don't have good idea. Can you hear me now?
Let's see. Start again. You said we're scared of failure. We're scared of the idea.
We're scared of rejection.
Rejection.
We're scared. Yep, I'll talk a little bit slower. Maybe that will help.
Okay. No, you're breaking up. Okay.
Okay, can you?
Okay, so Amnon, our producer, said are you moving around at all?
I'm not, but
okay.
I will stay as stationary as possible.
Okay, good. We want you like a statue.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just sit right here.
Okay.
Failure, we're scared of rejection. We're scared that our ideas aren't going to be met with like trumpets and whistles, and we're scared of disappointing family and friends. We're scared even of success, to be honest, because with success comes responsibility. I have that fear of, I know what I want. I want to build a big brand. I want to have a big business. So with that comes insanely hard work. Will my life balance still be the same? Will I still be able to devote time to my friends and family? All of these fears are there. So there's, underlyingly though, I think there's a couple big fears. One is that, this question of purpose, we don't know what our purpose is. And there's a lot of uncertainty associated with that. People are afraid of uncertainty. We like to have control. We're humans. We like to, know that the sun is going to rise and it's going to set every day. We like to have tangible results. We like to control things. And when we can't, we have fear. So those are a few of the fears that I think are very, very prevalent,
Right.
from what I see.
I often say to clients as well when we're talking about things, and I'll say, okay, what's the worst that will happen? And then they'll give a response, and they'll say, okay, then what's the worst that will happen? Again, another response. And then what is the worst that will happen? And you take it as far as you can take it. And honestly, the worst that could happen is that you change your mind, is that you decide to do something else. In relationship to that, I know that you had a very interesting story when I listened to you on TED about how, you often hear about people that on the way to the grocery store this happened, or the way to something this happened. Well, for all of you out there that may not be aware of it, on the way to medical school, something shifted for Ashita, and she decided not to go to medical school. Now, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So what happened to you in that moment? Because those are the moments that that many of us don't take advantage of. I mean, that was a jewel. So what happened for you, and how did you do it?
Well, I'll first start by saying that didn't feel like a jewel. It felt like felt like I didn't know what I wanted. And I think oftentimes that's how our best moments begin. And I want everyone on this call to understand that, is that when you're up against something, a problem, a challenge, whatever in life, it's scary. It looks like a night. It looks like everything is hit the fan, and all you can see is your problem. And that's what it looked like for me when I was, in medical school, and I got into medical school, and then I chose not to go. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew in some part, the reason I went into medicine was because of my people and, to fix things and what have you. And I knew that would be there with me. But I didn't see the system working for me. I didn't see 10 years of school. I didn't want to just be a traditional doctor. I would probably still be doing a lot of what I'm doing now if I was still practicing medicine. But at the time, it felt very, very hard because I didn't know the opposite of medical school was very tangible. It had a path system, it had a roadmap. And the other stuff, whatever that stuff, quote unquote, was, my career, there was no roadmap. There was no system. There was no, here's the next step, and here's the next step, and here's the next step. So that was actually very hard for me to make that choice. But something inside of me was saying, it's okay to make that choice right now. And that's what I want people to understand, is that oftentimes there won't be a very clear solution. There won't be a very clear choose between A and B is better. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of gray. And yet we still have the opportunity to make a choice that resonates with our insides and our outsides, that aligns those two. Even if it looks crazy, even if it looks very hairy. So that moment for me was pivotal because it was the first time I took a stand for something, actually a stand for uncertainty, if I can be honest. A stand for leaving the traditional, leaving something that would have given me security, and choosing something uncertain without knowing whether or not it would succeed, but knowing that I had to try.
Ishita, let me ask you a question. So getting to that moment, how do we get ourselves to that moment so that we can have that transformational moment? We can acknowledge that things are not where we want them to be, or we're not comfortable, but to make the shift to actually move into something that is so uncomfortable and such a difference. How do we find that moment to be able to do what you did, that window of opportunity?
Well, I'll give you and it's I hope no one else really does this, but I have to be in a lot of pain. I have to kind of hit rock bottom and be really suffering to say for the pain to kind of overtake my fear. So we have a lot of fear with the stuff that we want to do in our lives. But when the pain of not doing that overtakes your fear, that kind of have
okay.
This
Ishita, you know what? We're losing a bit of what you're saying now. I think you better call in on the phone because I don't want to lose a second of what you're saying. So if you could,
right now.
919-518-9773. That way we won't lose you at all.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
call you right now.
Okay, terrific. She's got such words of pearls of wisdom. And, you know, the interesting thing about fear is you don't talk about it unless you've gone through it. I'm not sitting here talking about breaking free just because it's something I feel like I want to talk about. It's because I've been breaking free. I mean, is she here? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Hi there.
great. And what I was telling our audience was the reason you are so clear about talking about fear is because you put yourself to the test. I talk about breaking free because I am breaking free. You know, these are not...
we teach what we need to learn.
Yeah, these are not things you just talk about, you know, as a fly on the wall. These are things that you've talked about because you've lived it. So go ahead, continue with what you were saying.
So I was saying that, you know, you have to almost have your pain of what you're avoiding. So let's say you're avoiding making a big decision. You're probably not going to make that change unless the pain of not making that decision overtakes your fear. So you have to get to a point where you feel terrible and in a lot of pain and you feel you're suffering in order to ultimately make that change. I mean, I go to the School of Hard Knocks, which is, you know, I encourage people to learn from me and not have to do that, all the time. But I need to really fall flat on my face to then say, because I'm a skeptic, you know, and humans we will coast for as long as we need to coast, for as long as it serves us. So if living life in a certain way is allowing you to just live life without having to fail or meet failure, or you're just comfortable, you will just keep doing that. So in my opinion, we don't actually transform or we don't change until we come to the point where we say, not living this other way or not fulfilling my passion or keeping this job is hurting me so much that I need to make that change.
Have you ever in your life experienced, because when I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm thinking about a time when I was probably about 20 years old and I was on a bridge with a whole bunch of other 20-year-olds and we were getting ready to jump into this water. And I knew the water was going to be cold. And I knew that it was a pretty high jump, but everybody was doing it. So I just closed my eyes, I squeezed in, and I jumped. And that experience for me has been a memory that keeps coming back up for me for when I jump into something that's scary. I kind of just suck in my body and I just jump in. That's what I do.
I love that. I think you have to do that. I think you have to, it's never going to not be scary. You're never going to not have fear. If you become successful, you rise to another level, your fears keep jumping levels too. You know, I work with enormously successful businessmen, and it's not that they don't have fear. It's just that they're aware of their fear, and they know now how to navigate it. But as you keep doing more and more, it's like, it's kind of a shitty joke, you know, the joke of life is that your fears should go away as you keep meeting them, but this is the warrior's life. This is the warrior's student's life, that you will never be free of it. So it's kind of like, you know, I have a friend who's a monk, and he says to me, it's the cosmic joke, because you feel like, man, okay, I've done enough. Like, let me just be done with it. And you're not. You're never done with it. This work is never done.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah. So I love the point you just brought up, because many of our listeners, watchers, are, you know, obviously are in business, or, you know, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing all kinds of things. So it's very, very true that what you said is so true, that you don't really get over being in fear. It just may shift into other types of things as you grow and you learn. You know, sometimes you're put to a different test. I know for myself. I mean, I've gone through all kinds of fear doing the show, you know, the fear of a guest not showing up. I mean, all kinds of things. And the bigger I play doesn't mean the bigger the fear. It just means sometimes the more focused I am on a particular fear, because I've cleaned up some others. I don't have like 10 fears. I might have 5. And they shift. Right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. They shift. And you also just, you know, widen your toolbox for how to deal with life. You get more and more principles. You get, you know, mentors. You get like-minded people. You learn how to deal with certain things so that they're not as prevalent. Just as you say that, you know, you're not dealing with 10 fears, you might be dealing with 3.
Right. And you do have help along the way. I mean, which I want everybody to hear that, I know there might be somebody or some people who on the chat now or who are listening who have a particular fear. If you like to call in and chat with us, we'd love to have you talk on the chat, express it. But this isn't a community of people who understand fear. This is a community of people who understand taking a risk. So this is a great place for support, as Ashita is talking about, because when you are in the movement through your fears or experiencing something new in business, something new in life, you're going to come across people who are going to be there to lend a helping hand. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, you need it.
Right?
You can't do this alone. You cannot do this alone. If you plan on having a successful business, if you plan on having a big personality or media brand, if you plan on fulfilling your potential, you need to have the people in your life who will support you. And I want to make a distinction here because family and friends are wonderful. During the hardest times in my life, my sister and my family, my brother, have been there enormously. But what I will say is if you're on a path and you have a direction and you're starting your business and doing, those are not ideal people for you to get everything that you need from. The people who you get the main support from, especially professionally, are going to be the people who are in the trenches with you. The people who are themselves starting businesses, the people who have done it before, mentors who have already 10 steps ahead of you. These are the people who you need to find. And by the way, that's an active process of you seeking out the right type of support. You can't just expect it to drop out of the clouds. And you can just expect your family and friends to understand everything that you're going through while you're building your dreams. It's not possible. It's not realistic. It's not feasible. And half the time you are figuring out your own path. We can't expect family and friends and everyone to understand that. So you need to find people in that same direction. Keep them close to you. Use them for support. Use family and friends for emotional support. That's what I like to tell my clients and readers is that because oftentimes we feel even more fear because then we think, oh, my husband doesn't understand me or my wife doesn't understand me. They're not meant to understand you. So you have to find people who are doing it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That really makes what I love about all this is because fear is so tangible yet so untangible, and people don't always know how to handle it. But I love the things that you're bringing up because they're specific things that you can do in the face of fear. Lean up against it. Don't run away from it. Take a pause. Put a different word to it. Sometimes I'll tell people even instead of fear, just use the word excitement.
That's a great point.
Right, because the feeling is going to be about the same. I mean, when you think about fear, the feeling of flutters and this feeling that you have, it's the same as you feel when you're excited about something.
Yeah, absolutely. And why not use this? We're humans. The fact that you can feel nervous and feel alive and feel scared, that's something animals can't do. Why not look at it as a blessing? Why not look at it as something to use? And I always hate when people say, well, use your nerves when you go on stage. Use that. And I said, but how? Basically, you just have to have gratitude for it. You just have to, acknowledge it somehow and say, oh my God, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling this way. But have gratitude for it. You're alive. Your sensations are alive. They're telling you something. I know you're scared, you're nervous, what have you. Feel grateful for it.
Right.
Instead of making everything wrong all the time, because that's what I think we do. You feel sad, you make it wrong. You feel bad, you make it wrong. You feel lonely, you make it wrong. We make all these negative feelings wrong, and then when we're happy, or we're excited, or we're high on life, it's so fleeting because we're not even in a moment with it. We don't even take stock of that. All we do is we feel it for a few minutes, and then we're back to feeling bad. I say we need to make all of our feelings the same level. Happiness, sadness, loneliness, grief, whatever. Obviously, at certain times you can magnify those emotions, but it's like the weather. You're not going to get angry because it's raining. You're just going to, take an umbrella. So just like sadness, loneliness, all of these feelings, you can't get angry and make it wrong. You just have to make it the same as all of the rest of your feelings. And that will allow you some space. That will allow you to see that We're made up of all of these things. All of them serve a purpose, and it's all fine.
You know, it's so funny that you're talking about it like this. Well, I mean, because when I was out on Facebook and I was sharing about today, I made it like it was a party. I really believe in so much about what you're saying, because I made it like I was going to say listening party because I'm so much about listening, but like a fear party, just to bring your fears to the party, because the less we make it wrong and the more we celebrate them, and you know that we share them, we don't make them so sticky. You know, we make them like, you know, it's like anything else. And the bigger you live, the bigger life, the bigger you play life, sometimes the bigger the fear that you're going to have attached to living a big life. And so you're right, celebrate it, because it means you're up to something big.
You have to. I mean, if I were to get down on every fear that I had, I'm scared of everything. Every time I pitch myself for a speaking gig, I get scared. Every time a rejection comes back, you get scared. You know, but it's not about that. It's really just about persistence. You have to just keep going. You know, no business does well its first 2 years. Russell Simmons said, you're an intern in your business for the first 5 years because you're still figuring things out. I think you're an intern in your life. You know, you're figuring everything out. And yes, at some point in time, you'll know more than you know at other times, you know, when you're just later on in life versus when you're just beginning. But it's about really how resilient are you? How persistent are you? How much drive and ambition do you have to your ultimate goal, and not, because you have to have your ultimate goal in sight and not the path, because the path is going to be riddled with BS, obstacles, challenges, problems, this, that, people who, you know, don't want you to succeed. All of these things are going to be there. How willing are you to know that that exists and still do it? You know, that, and you're right, you can never really stop.
No, I mean, the fears are going to be there, and then, you know, the more we fear about a fear, the more fear we're feeling. And I have this quote, and this is it too, whose fear are we fearing anyway? Because most of the time, a lot of the fears we're fearing anyway are somebody else's that we just happen to pick up because, oh my God, we should be scared of that.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so whose fear, whose fear, I mean, whose fear are we fearing? I guarantee you, I have a fear of heights. I didn't always have a fear of heights. I used to be the one when I was very grateful and very, you know, full of gratitude, because as a 15-year-old, my father, my mother sent me to Switzerland for the summer, and we used to climb the Alps, and I was at night walking down these paths that I had no idea where I was going. I had no idea how far down that mountain was and what was on the edge. Now I am petrified. And I guarantee you it was because somebody said something, or I picked up something on the news, or I heard somebody fell, or something. It's not my fear. I am not supposed to be scared of heights. I used to go in chairlifts. I mean, I used to be the one that everybody was waiting at the bottom of the hill, the mountain.
Right.
And I'd be going up by myself. I had no fear. I mean, honestly, I had no fear. Now I have this crazy fear of heights, and it's not mine, and I can't get rid of it. It's like stuck to me like glue. Now, you
can get rid of it. You can get rid of it. Here's how you get rid of it, is that you start to, and I'm sure you've tried this, they call it desensitization. Each time you have to change how your brain is wired right now related to heights. Maybe you had a bad experience. Maybe you had something that, you know, traumatically made you feel afraid of heights. I had that. I wasn't afraid of flying ever in my life. And then for 1 year in my life, I developed this acute fear of flying. And since then, I was scared. But here's the thing, is that you can't identify with you being the one afraid of heights, because it's not you. Because at some point in time, you weren't afraid of heights. You know what I mean? Like, and you have access to that person still today. You have access to that person who is fearless. And in fact, you are even that person right now. But it takes rewiring the grooves in your brain. And each time, I imagine you anticipate it. You know, every time you know you're going to have to go to a place with heights, or you're gonna go somewhere that your fear is going to start activating, you withdraw, or maybe you get scared, or maybe you don't do it. Is that right? Or do you go ahead and do it anyway?
Oh, no, honey, I'm going anyway. I mean, when my husband and I got married 11 years ago, I said, where do you want to go? He said, Utah, climb mountains. I said, okay, I'm there.
Wow.
So what I had to do was, he would, in certain places, have to hold my hand so I would be able to get up. And then we hike. Over the winter time, I have to tell you, we went on this hike that was in the snow in the North Carolina mountains, Tennessee mountains. I froze. We were on the Appalachian Trail. I could not move my legs. I was absolutely frozen because of the edge. So he came, he helped me go up. We got to where we had to go. And what was so interesting is that when I was walking back, I didn't even know the spot. I couldn't even find the spot that I frozen. And I said to myself, hallelujah, Marilyn, because I got past my fear then. I couldn't even believe that it. So I don't let it get me. I am petrified. I don't like the feeling. However, I won't let it stand in my way.
I love that. That's exactly what I talk to people about, is you have to essentially be able to keep having those experiences and not, crowd it with all of this anticipation and all of this drama. And you're right, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy, but you have to keep having those experiences again and again. And if you're doing that, you will start to, it's a process, but you will start to become more comfortable. So I applaud you for doing that. I think that's fantastic. And, if you keep going down that process, I would encourage you to look at your language, so like maybe instead of saying, I do have this fear of heights, or I'm so scared of heights, or you identifying with that, because language is incredibly important, and the way that you speak about it sends signals to your brain. Right. So maybe you start by saying, I used to have this fear of heights, and man, I'm working through it now. Or, it used to be so prevalent, but I find that I'm really being able to handle it nowadays. Something like that.
Yes, and you know what? That actually, and you're so right. Thanks for reminding me, because when I was on the Appalachian Trail, that helped me a lot, because what I would tell myself was how gorgeous it was, and how beautiful this was. And so you're so right. I need to carry it through. And listen, everybody, this is a great point that she's making. You got to carry it through. You have to change the story you're telling.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Thank you very much for reminding me. You got to change. Seriously, you have got to change the story you're sharing. So instead of saying I'm going to do that. I am not going to say anymore, I'm scared of heights. I'm going to say I'm not going to say. I don't even have to pay attention to even saying anything about it. It is what it is. I don't have to say that I love it, because then I'm focusing on something. Yeah.
The less attention you can give to the actual height part, and the more attention you can give to, I can do this, I got this, I can handle it.
Yeah.
So the easier your brain is going to be able to make that leap, and also your emotions, right? Because when we have an experience, it's largely your emotions that you're remembering. You're feeling that fear, you're feeling that, nervousness at the top of the mountain. And so if you say that and you kind of get in control and you say, I can handle this, this is not a problem for me, you're not only helping your brain, you're helping your emotions around that. And then you're creating new experiences for yourself. So I think that's great that you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say to everybody out there, we have this chat, all these great comments and questions and all kinds of stuff is going on out here. If you're watching and you haven't signed into the chat, please do that. Just put your name on the line and you can see what people are writing about. You can share, what your fears are or certain things that you're going through. And, if you're somewhere and you'd like to call in on Skype, you can call in at computers, that's plural, 2K voice. We'd love to have you, because we'd love you to get in on this conversation if you can. And I want to compliment Sheeta, because she is, she's beautiful. She's living her fear, or forget that. I don't even want to say that. So what do you say? You don't even want to. I wouldn't even want to say I'm living my fear. What do you say?
What do I say to
Yeah,
people?
because I wouldn't even want to say that.
I don't say I'm living my fear. I say I feel like I'm on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I say it finally feels like I'm on the right path. Whereas before I never felt like I could say that. So I guess that's what I say to people.
Yeah, because I don't think I'd want to say I'm living the F word either. I would
No.
just say, yeah. I don't.
I wouldn't want to say that.
No, I wouldn't want to say it. So I would just say we're living our life. You know,
Yeah,
that's
or
right.
or even I'm fulfilling my potential.
That's perfect.
I mean,
That's perfect. I'm living my potential. So I know that you have that you.
I have a few minutes left. I
Okay.
have about 10 minutes. But do we do questions now, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, if Alnon, can anybody else call in on the 919? Even though she's on still. Okay, so listen, everybody. Call in at 919-518-9773. Also,
Yeah.
we'd love to have
I'm happy
you.
to take questions.
Yeah, take questions if you have a particular, thing that you want to talk about. We'd love to have you call in and share it. I know that there's some people talking about rollerblading and skiing and all kinds of stuff. So please feel free to share with us. Again, you can also do it on computers, plural, 2K Voice. If you're somewhere far away and you don't want to use a 919 number, we'd love to have you do it. So what are you doing now, Ishita? I know that you're doing some different things, and every time you do something different, it's not so different. It probably has a similar theme, but it might look different. So what are you doing now?
It does have a similar theme. So I published the magazine online, which is all about overcoming fear. And if you guys want to go to that URL, it's fearlessstories.com with 3 S's in the center, fearlessstories.com. And then I also have my business, which is consulting and helping entrepreneurs build their own businesses with a focus on growth, revenue, helping them learn how to use the internet to market properly, really just build sustainable businesses in the right way. So those two things that's my primary shtick. That's what I devote my time to. So, and the second arm of that business is building information products devoted to personal development. So the same themes of confidence and fear, both from a business perspective and personally.
So as far as business related, what kind of little ditty can you share with us today about, there's a lot of people out here who, might be sitting on a nugget of some sort. Maybe I know that we have artists out here who are sitting on magnificent art. What would you suggest? What's your,
To start a business?
Yeah, start a business, fulfill it, go forward.
Yeah, you have to be able to push yourself forward, first and foremost. You can't sit on an idea forever. You can't sit on something forever that you've been marinating on for the last 10 years. If that's you, either choose to say, I'm not going to think about this idea from moving forward, or I'm going to do something about it. Not after I quit my job, not after I have more money, not after I feel a little bit more settled or more time. None of that stuff is ever going to happen unless you choose to make a decision now. So, excuse me. So you have to be able to say to yourself, am I going to take this risk to go in this direction, or let it go? Because it's causing a lot of internal tension for you to be thinking about something you want to do and not doing it. That's the first thing I would tell people. The second thing is you have to be aware of what you're beginning. So, in a market like New York City, you have to be aware of if you're going to put a Subway on one corner and then there's a Subway franchise on, directly down that corner. You have to just be aware of the market. You have to be aware of who your target audience is. You have to be aware of the knowledge that no business really makes money in its first couple years. It's a path. Starting a business is a path. And so a lot of times what I counsel and talk to clients about in the first few months of us working together is, how viable is this for you? How much do you want to do this? Because it's certainly not going to be smooth sailing. Everyone thinks you can just start something up, and you can. The choice to start something up is easy, and I know I'm saying that very flippantly, but I mean it. It's just a choice. It's just a choice to commit to something. And you have to make that decision. Not making that decision, I think, is a lot of times what trips people up, and then you're stuck for years, decades, in this feeling of not making the decision. And that's really the hardest thing for people is this kind of indecision. So first and foremost, think about your decision, and if you want to choose to make it or not, know that you're committing to a longer line of just, dreams are no joke. And if you're going to say that you're going to pursue one, you have to pursue it in the right way. So that's first. And the second thing is, there are simple ways. I'm going to make the distinction between it being hard and it being easy versus simple. There's a lot of things that you can do in elegant, simple ways that aren't easy, right? It's not easy necessarily, but they're simple. And sometimes we overcomplicate things. We think we need a website, and a business cards, and a this and a that, and oh my God, no. All you need to do is learn how to sell and get your first client. That's it. And yes, that's a little bit of a process, but you don't need all the bells and whistles at first. I think the biggest mistake people make is wanting to do social media and Twitter and get business cards and, open up a retail shop and do all this. No, the first thing is, are there people willing to buy what you're selling? That's first and foremost. If there are, then let's talk about how that happens. So I think largely for everyone who's on this call thinking about a dream or a book that they want to write or a business that they want to start, it first starts with a choice to commit to that. And if you feel like, and there's no judgment here, if you feel like you don't want to do that or you're not ready to do that or what have you, stop thinking about it. Literally burn it, put it on your to-do list, and then burn your to-do list. Because right now it's taking away time and energy from the rest of your life. Does that help? Is that what you were looking for?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I was listening, obviously, intensely to what you're saying because I'm, again, I love this conversation. I love learning, and I love approval. I love to hear somebody else put it in such an eloquent way because and makes so much sense because it's approval. And one of the things I would say is what you resist persists. So when she's talking about about letting it go, you've got to, because that thing that you may not go do because of some reason, and if you don't let it go, that not doing it persists, and that just gnaws at you and keeps digging at you, and it's like it's scratching you and it's making your life miserable. So you're better off writing it down on what I call the parking lot of ideas and just let it sit there so that you don't beat yourself up. You just put it on this parking lot and let it just sit and park for a while so that you're not hurting yourself. That's really, really important to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And again, surrounding yourself with positive people really makes a difference in supporting your ideas. And I will also say that if you're passionate about something, if you really like something, in a lot of cases, that's all you need is to make something happen. And I often use this example, and pardon me, but Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones, he had this tremendous faith, somehow desire. He just wanted to be a singer. He wanted to be in a band. I mean, if you had seen him, you might have passed him by. He wasn't pretty. He really can't sing that great. And he really doesn't dance. He jumps around a lot. But guess who he is? He is Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones. I mean, he had desire. So if you have desire, you can make it work. And knowing where you have to go. Go ahead.
Desire is it's the foundation. The reason your desire exists is because the world is here to supply that desire. That's the reason the thought is even in your head. If you want to open a wine shop, if you even have a thought to open a wine shop, the reason that thought exists is because you can, and you should. And that's something that I love, because even just your thought, even just the reason why you're thinking something is because that thought was put there because you're meant to do that.
Right. Yes. Okay. Amnon's got something to add.
I want to lighten up a little bit. Ishita, I want to lighten up a little bit. Tell me.
Let's lighten up, yeah.
Yeah. How much less fear, more guts, how much does it help these things to be in a wine cellar?
Well, I'm not drunk right now, so this is all lucid. I imagine if I popped open one of these bottles of wine, you might get some very different answers.
Okay.
So it's very helpful, I have to say. I ducked in here, and I'm going to give credit to my friend who's been just patiently listening to me. I'm in New York City, and I'm flying out later on today to Detroit, and I have been running around the city, and I happened to duck into a wine shop, and he very graciously, said to me, sure, you can do your interview here, and I've been doing it for the last 40 minutes, and I'm going to go and shake his hand right now.
Shake it
They're
for me,
asking
too.
about how, thank you, what is your name, sir? Beanie?
What's
Beanie.
the name of
Beanie is what's the name of, it's Landmark Wines. Landmark Wines in New York City on, where are you located? On West 23rd Street between 6th and 7th.
Yay.
Landmark Wines, they're amazing, and this is the generosity of people. I just ducked in here in a bit of a bind, and Beanie's been so gracious about it. But this is how you form relationships. This is how you make a connection. A lot of fear is also about not isolating yourself, right? So you got to be willing to look a little foolish sometimes, to ask some people, take some risks. So yeah, it's a beautiful setting, actually. Adnan, it's a beautiful setting to be here.
Good.
So
you know what? It's
yeah.
perfect, and it's perfect for our show today, because just like you just said, again, if you could have let fear stand in your way, you could have been a wreck, you could have gone into something else, or just whatever, not done the show, all kinds of things.
Right.
But you didn't allow your fear to prevent something from happening. You just went in. It was perfect timing. The man is a gentleman. You got to do it, and we all got to have that experience with you. Of
Right.
look what's possible when you break free from yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the customers hopefully got some free advice on on fear
Yeah,
and
it's
overcoming
perfect.
it. No,
Perfect.
It's been great. It's been great. And
Thank you.
Marilyn, you're right. Let's underscore that. So for people, everyone, we all have these opportunities in our life. Just take them. It doesn't matter if you feel silly or foolish or what have you. You got to get stuff done. You got to get stuff done. So I think that's a huge point, and thank you for emphasizing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to take all these moments and use them. I mean, I often say if I was a comic, which maybe sometimes I am, I would, my material obviously would be from my life, right? It'd be my family, it'd be my children, my husband, whatever.
Right.
The same thing now. I mean, our life is life, and we take it on life is a stage. And we've got to take this material that we share, that we each share between each other, and use it in our life.
Right.
And we want to take the good material and leave the rest, caca, alone. I mean, we've had enough caca. We don't need it. Let's take the good stuff and use it, because, listen, everybody, what this beautiful woman is talking about and what she's doing is real life. It's not just for her. It's for all of you. The same thing for me. My breaking fear of this or that and freedom. It's for me to share with you and yours with me, because this is real reality. And this is, sharing these things is what's going to get us through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you need to go, right?
I do.
All right.
I do, yeah.
Okay. But don't have anybody else leave. She has to leave. You all stay right here. Don't you budge. But
Well,
go
I
ahead.
have to say it was such a pleasure. Thank you guys for bearing with the logistics. I was very happy to do this. I hope I'm on again. I hope you guys want to have me on again, and I hope everyone on the call enjoyed this. And if I have parting words, it is just go for it. And the next time you start to feel any kind of discomfort, just go for it anyway.
Perfect.
So thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much, and we'd love to have you come back.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. And this time I'll be in my office.
Okay, perfect. Next time we'll make sure you are, because we want to see you in real life.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you and everybody loved you, so thank you.
Oh, good.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
Have a great flight.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Okay,
Bye-bye.
everybody on here, listen. Now I'm going to break free of something. We have a special birthday. Suziani, who has been just a dream, a delightful person for our show and, Carrie's show on Sundays and Debbie's show and everything. And I just want to pay a little tribute to her. So listen, this is like breaking free for me. So wherever you are, if you will just sing with me a little birthday song for her. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susiani. Happy birthday to you. Yay! So, Susiani, we love you so very much, and that's my surprise to you today. I wanted to share my love with you. So thank you as you share with all of us. So listen, I said to you, this is a fearless party. So if you would be willing to call in and share anything that you learned today, anything that you're doing to move forward today, we would love to have you call in. So 919-518-9773. You're welcome to call in and share anything that you got from today, anything that you felt acknowledged about, that you're going to break through the F word, break free of something. Today is it. We'd love to have you call in, and I really mean that. Also, I want to let you all know about some of the other shows that are on our channel, because they're spectacular, and each of hosts are marvelous. So Wednesday night is Julie Seib's show at 9 o'clock. Reawaken Your Brilliance. Great show. You should take part in it. Also, he's breaking feet. Good.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, chipmunks. Thank you, Amna. I know that's a man who just is up with his creativity, and he's breaking free. Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock, Amnan's got his show, 9 till, and he's on with about 3 or 4 other experts in computers and technology. That's a show you will want to see and hear because they're up to the minute. 8 o'clock, Sunday nights, Carrie, Psychic Cafe. If you haven't watched the show yet, oh my God, you need to. She is amazing. She is tuned in and has some incredible information that she can share with each and every one of you. And then I mentioned Debbie's show at 11 o'clock on Mondays. Great show. She's on before we are. And her show is Homeopathy World, Health In, and she is the queen of the homeopaths. And I don't know, she's just brilliant. Okay, so fear. So, I write about these nudges. And I ask, I write every week to live a nudge. I like to nudge you. Okay, so Joy, I'm going to talk about my nudges, but Joy is on here and she's saying, Marilyn, for me, the point Ishita made about remembering that we are not our fears was exactly what I needed. Thank you, Joy. How fabulous. So that's great. That is a huge point that we don't even have to talk about them anymore as us. They are separate from us. They are out there, no different than, something else. They're just out there. I don't even have a word for them. They're just, a little thing that just helps you maybe pay more attention to something. They're not bad. They're not to stop you. They're just there. That's perfect. Susiani says she's blown away by today. This past year was the most amazing because of all the wonderful people that came into my life. Oh, thank you, including Marilyn and Amnon. Thank you very much. Carrie and Tom and all of the wonderful people in the chat rooms. And that is so true. And I love that because that's what we want. We want to create this flow. I don't know if any of you ever read that book, The Flow. But we want to create that flow so that this grows, that this energy that we're talking about and these things that we're creating, they just they go from one hand to another, from a heart to another, from a hug to another, from a glance, from a wink. They just go from one to another. And that we are the carriers of this thing. And everybody that's listening now, you've been touched. And I hope and I pray that you come back each and every week so that you get to hold something, a thought, an idea, a person, something in your heart, and you take it out there in the world and you help make your life better and you help make the life better of somebody or a lot of somebodies that you touch each and every week. That is really, really important. And, just also, I have a coaching practice as well, and I do talk about these things all the time with my clients about breaking free from the things that stand in our way so that we can have the most fulfilling human life experience that we possibly can have, that we live our fullest dreams. And as Ishita said, dreams are nothing, not to pay attention to. They are a real, tangible thing. It's not, you're just dreaming. Are you kidding? You dream. It's not just, you're just dreaming. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Those dreams are information. They're ideas. They're like plopped down inside of you for you to take advantage of. So you want to do that. Never want to leave those dreams aside. You want to, look for them. Act upon them when you can. Share them with somebody else. Bring them here to our chat. Mention them. You want to get a little support? Come here and we'll give it to you. So my nudges are like a gentle little nudge. It's a gentle little push to say, okay, here is a little something to take into the world, to try, to take a freedom step, as we call them, in order to go forward a little bit more, in order to break free, acquire that dream, put your plaque outside your house and say, I am, open up that storefront, paint that picture, write that book, whatever it is. This is what we have to do. And we're at a time now where there's a lot of us in the same boat. You are not in the boat alone. You are not on the river alone. There are plenty of people on the river that are there to lend a helping hand. The thing about it is, if you are on the wrong river, if you're not doing the things that you are meant to do, there are no helping hands. It's the flow of the river is pretty tough. But if you go with the flow of the river and you go with people and you are living your dream and you're living those spontaneous moments and you are leaning into your fear, there will be people to hold you up. There are people that will hold you up. More than just me. More than just Chris and Susiani. There's plenty of us out here ready and willing to hold you up because we want to be held up too. And if we all hold each other up, guess what? Nobody, nothing can put us down. And that, my friends and my loved ones, is breaking free. So we only have a few more minutes, or actually a minute. If you have anything you want to share, call in 919-518-9773. If you have ideas for shows, let me know. Marilyn, Marilyn, at reenchant, reenchant, planet earth.com. If you have an idea for a story, if you are the story, if you know somebody that's a great story, let us know. We'd love to have that. Like us on Facebook. Again, if you want some coaching in your life. Oh, here's a phone call. Hello?
Hi, it's me.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that this has been just unbelievable today.
I'm quelling. Everybody, that's Susiani. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Today's show was fabulous. You were fabulous. Your guest was fabulous. Everybody in the chat room, marvelous. But I have to tell you, I'm blown away by what you did for me today. Thank you, because so much of who I'm becoming, and I'm 61 and I am still growing, is because of you, Marilyn. Because of your shows, the people you bring to us, but the way that you do it. And it's such a gift to all of us, but you have been such a gift to me. And you have no idea how much of who you are influences who I am. And that's what we all have to be aware of, is what we want to give to others is who our true self is. And so to hide behind fear or to hide behind what other people make you think you should be doing, influenced by those things instead of coming from this place of love that you find everywhere. I find it with you. I find it almost every day with people that I encounter and just trip over, really. But it's what you want people to feel about yourself and how you feel about others. And we have to embrace, our differences and embrace the fact that we've all been there where other people are in a place of trouble. And we have words, not so much wisdom, but just words of comfort. And again, like Rachel Oz says, listening, listening, being there for someone, not turning your back on people, and helping people achieve their best life. That's really where we're all evolving to. And only then, will everybody be able to find that, what they think is a goal, happiness. But it isn't. It's a way of life. You have to wake up happy and go to sleep happy. And how you do that is to make the decision to do it and just be it. Be happy, and your life becomes that. So imagine everything you want in life, in the nth degree and in your happiest moments. And that's what you should keep in your mind, because if you're negative, you're going to bring on the negativity. If you leave out those fears and hopeless situations, nothing's hopeless. We're all proof of that. We're all still here.
That's right. Well, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you shared, and you are so very right. The world is looking for the peace that you have, just who you are. And whatever it is that you do, when you bring yourself to that thing, that's all we're looking for. I mean, how many people are here listening? And I guarantee you we all can say pretty much the same thing. So whether we're, 500, 550, 5,000, whatever it is, everybody that's listening and that everybody knows that if you just bring the piece of you, that's it, to whatever it is that you do, that's what makes the difference. And Suziani, you do that all the time.
And
so,
you do
thank
too.
You.
You set the example. You set the example of goodness, and that's really what it's about, coming from that special place.
Thank you. Well, we love you. So thank you, honey. Thank you so much.
And I love you, Marilyn, and I love everybody here, and I
Thank
mean
you.
that from the bottom of my heart.
And that love gets shared, and that's what makes it. See, that's all there is love. So, thank you. So with that, this today's show has been just remarkable, as she said, and I have no words. I'm verklempt. And so with that, verklempt. I can't even. And that's the thing about it too. I don't have great vocabulary, and if it wasn't for spell check, half the things that I write wouldn't come out right. And I write the way I speak, and my vocabulary ain't great.
I don't get it.
But I just do my thing. So anyway, Suziani, Chris, and everybody, Janet, everybody, Amnon, Joanne, Joy, and everybody that's been on the chat, Cynthia today, everybody that's on there, Dory, Unique Chris, everybody on there, and everybody out there. Thank you so very much from all of our hearts. I know I'm speaking for everybody. Thank you, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place, just a different day. Take care. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.